Hello, and thank you for watching this weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I'm a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. Harvest progress this past week was moving full steam ahead in some locations, while others had to deal with pesky and persistent rainfall that kept many out of their fields. While many enjoyed the cooler weather, a deep cutoff low brought a lot of rain to the eastern Corn Belt and mid-Atlantic. Cutoff lows are cut off from the main branch of the jet stream, which in the case of last week passed to the north in Canada. Cutoff lows can sit and spin over one location for several days, and that is exactly what this one did. Look at all of the rain in Indiana and Ohio, as well as North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. Showers and storms repeatedly circulated around the upper level low and kept farmers from making much progress at all. Showers and storms were also found oriented along a north-south boundary early last week that brought heavy rains from Texas through Iowa. But if you were fortunate to miss out on these two big weather makers, many producers spent some very long days behind the wheel of their combines. So what does this week hold for impactful weather across the Corn Belt? Let's turn our attention first to the jet stream. This map shows in red where there are upper-level ridges and in blue where there are upper-level troughs. After last week's cool down, a major feature for this week is the development of a ridge across the Midwest. This ridge will have strong southerly winds beneath it, which allow for temperatures to climb back into the upper 70s and lower 80s. But a deep trough forms over the western United States by midweek, and if the timing of this trough is just right, it could help spare the eastern United States from a major landfalling hurricane. Now, before it does that, it will produce a large cold front that will push through the central states and end the early week warm streak by the end of this week. Before we see how this upper-level trough and Hurricane Matthew will interact, let's look in on the temperature and precipitation forecast for the Corn Belt for this week. Here are the forecast temperature anomalies or differences from normal. The cooler air is finally pushed out, and southerly winds ahead of that next trough bring temperatures with them that are 10 degrees warmer than normal. But notice the sharp temperature gradient along the next cold front that knocked those temperatures back down toward the end of the week. That front might also knock Hurricane Matthew away from the Outer Banks of North Carolina too. Now, temperatures are forecast to rebound after next weekend's cool down, but the jet stream stays active and another cold front is forecast to cool things down again by mid-October. But this type of thing is very common in fall as the daylight hours wane and the cooler air arrives more frequently. So will this weather keep a lot of people out of the fields again for this week? Well, this animation shows the next 10 days of precipitation, and by Tuesday into Wednesday, precipitation is expected from Kansas through Iowa and into Minnesota. That rain tries to spread east toward the end of the week, but farmers in Indiana and Ohio could get several days this week of drier conditions. Next week is currently forecast to hold a few more dry days, but we'll have to keep a close eye on the potential for more rain once we get closer to that time period. Now, as I'm sure you've noticed, the incredibly heavy rains from Hurricane Matthew are showing up in the lower left-hand side of your screen. So let's finally examine this incredibly powerful hurricane. Well, as of Sunday evening, October 2nd, Matthew was a Category 4 strength hurricane with wind speeds sustained of 145 miles per hour. Its track was due north and set to impact Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti first. Interestingly enough, we have the ancient Mayans to thank for the name hurricane. A group of Mayans called the Taínos people lived on Cuba, and in their creation story, the goddess Atabe bore two sons, to whom she charged with creating earth. Well, the older son made all of the things that we find beautiful, like the animals and the plants and the landforms. And the younger son, having seen his older brother's work, became very jealous and sent a terrible wind to destroy it all. Well, in the midst of his rage, he renamed himself Huracan, god of destruction. Now, this term is not to be confused with the Italian supercar, the Lamborghini Huracan, which is not named after a tropical cyclone, but is instead named after a bull. Well, anyway, the name has been anglicized over the years and is now pronounced hurricane and describes any tropical cyclone with sustained winds over 74 miles per hour in the Atlantic or in the eastern Pacific Oceans. So this is Hurricane Matthew as of Sunday evening, as viewed by one of our geostationary satellites. At this point, I am most concerned for Haiti, as centuries of deforestation have left this island vulnerable to massive flooding, landslides, and mudslide events. This image shows the border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and shows exactly what deforestation looks like. Haiti, just like Jamaica and eastern Cuba, are under a hurricane warning, and the Bahamas to the north are under a hurricane watch. Well, here's the latest forecast guidance as of Sunday, October 2nd. Most forecast models have Matthew making a hard right turn as it approaches the Carolinas, thanks to the timing of the upper-level trough and the cold front that will come through the Midwest later on this week. There is still a lot of uncertainty in the forecast, and Matthew could strike anywhere from Florida up the entire east coast of the United States. But the best forecast guidance right now is for a near miss. However, if you live along the southeastern coast of the United States, please stay informed by visiting nhc.noaa.gov. That's for the National Hurricane Center. And also pay attention to your local National Weather Service office, which can be found by visiting weather.gov. Also, should an evacuation order be set out for your location, please do not waste time and evacuate immediately. Well, on that note, as always, we at Agrible will bring the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.